Technology in church today isn't there just for internet connectivity for your guests that may congregate with you on Sundays. It's there to serve a variety of ways to support the church. Yeah, from streaming to online giving, to ensuring that the network is always there and is working as needed for the staff and volunteers. Technology has never had a more important and crucial role in the operation of church, right?
Welcome to the Feria Tech Cast, where we bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Today we are joined by Carl Wagner from Higher Ground IT by ACS Technologies, a trusted partner to over 200 churches nationwide. With their mission first mindset and cutting edge tech expertise, they help ministries eliminate IT stress and focus on what matters, serving their communities. From managed IT support to cybersecurity to telephony, they know exactly what it takes to keep church systems running smoothly. So, Carl, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ezekiel. It's great to be here. Appreciate you having me.
I'm honored to have you on the show, Carl. So, can you quickly give us an overview of ACS technology and how it relates to higher ground IT? So, I'd like to know how the company gets started in church tech from the era where it started from.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ACS Technologies was actually founded in 1978 as a technology company to come alongside the church and help them with tracking membership and information around their congregation and church. And it was a little bit ahead of its time because if you're old enough to remember, which I'm not, I did not. I was not alive in 1978, but I know that Microsoft DOS was released after 1978. It actually predates Microsoft. So the business really bought and sold and released software on computers by a company called. I actually have to remember now. It's been so long. We can start back over at that point. Hang on one second there, Ezekiel.
No
It's
problem.
escaping me. Data Point. That's right. Data Point. Okay. Yes. ACS Technologies was actually founded in 1978, and the mission and the vision for the company at that time was to have solutions to come alongside the church that actually help the church with tracking membership and other things. And I wasn't alive in 1978; I was born in 1982, but that actually predates Microsoft DOS. So what the company actually did at that time was resold and released software on computers called DataPoint, and DataPoint ran a software called Data Bus, which was essentially the operating system. And our first version of software was actually written in Data Bus and strictly only ran on DataPoint computers. And of course, throughout the evolution of technology, we moved from DataPoint to Microsoft DOS. We did have a version of our ACS software that made its way onto DOS, and then we evolved DOS to Windows, Windows to web, and of course, here we are today, able to take care of all technologies for the church. But so Higher Ground Managed IT, that's a part of ACS Technologies, all came about in 2021, an acquisition. Previous to that day, ACS Technologies did not offer any form of managed IT services. We were strictly serving the church with software and other types of needs, but not managed IT. So in April of 21, we acquired Higher Ground Technologies, which is actually a business that was headquartered right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. And I'm happy to say we still have numerous team members aboard the team today as part of that acquisition almost 5 years later. And yeah, things are growing. I think what we did at the time of acquisition in terms of service offering, and we have definitely evolved to meet the needs of the church.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you mentioned that ACS Technologies acquired Higher
Higher
Ground
Ground
IT
Technologies.
in 2021. So that marked its first entry into managed IT services, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, the company had no experience previously in managed IT services until that acquisition in 2021. That's right.
Wonderful. So I'd like to ask, what was a strategic reason for that move, and what gap did they see in the market that needed to be filled?
Yeah, great question. ACS had always, been able to serve the church with software. But like I said, never with technology, specifically managed technology. We did have a team of people that would, in the early 2000s, and I think the team ended in the mid 2000s before 2010 or so, would go on site to a church to try to troubleshoot any technical issues that arose during the setup and implementation of our ACS software. Because at that time, our predominant install base was not web; it was still, local network, desktop to server type communications, and clients. So anything that came up in the implementation process, our onboarding team at that time would actually go in and help troubleshoot. But it was very specific to the needs of the software and how to make the software run as optimally and as effectively as possible. So in 2021, when we did acquire the managed IT business, it just opened up, lots of other things that we could get involved in and other ways we could serve the church. And like I said, we've taken the basis for managed IT services, and we've enhanced that and continued to grow and evolve that service since that point in time. But yeah, ACS did not have any formal experience with managed services in general before that acquisition. So I'm proud and happy of what the team's been able to do to this point today, and how we're able to come alongside the church and meet their needs where they're at.
Interesting. So, let's talk about some of the unique challenges. So, churches often run on tight budgets, and rely on volunteers. So, what's the biggest tech mistakes you see these organizations make, and what's the real world cost of that mistake?
Yeah, great question as well. I mean, I see this typically on the smaller size church. The medium to large size church, at this point, has really put IT needs in a place where it gets the attention it deserves, right? Because as we know, technology in church today isn't there just for internet connectivity for your guests that may congregate with you on Sundays. It's there to serve a variety of ways to support the church. And yeah, from streaming to online giving, to ensuring that the network is always there and is working as needed for the staff and volunteers. Technology has never had a more important and crucial role in the operation of church, right? We typically, on the smaller church side of things, will see where technology isn't given that attention that we feel like it needs, but throughout conversation and helping a client who is in a smaller type church, we put the focus on the importance of keeping that technology updated. When you hear me or when you see our website talk about, and some of our marketing materials talk about future proofing your church, your IT for your church, it's really effectively saying, let's take out, your most important needs for how you serve the people in your area, in your community. And let's figure out a way to allow technology to come alongside you to help you with those things. And when we have these conversations, not just give it the budget that it may need currently, but future proofing is, how can we make sure that that technology is serving us well 5 years from now? That you are actually living into the future, and the growth that you experience, you're not going to be hindered by the technology that you put into place, that it's there to assist you into the future as well.
Great. So, the phrase Mission First IT is central to what you do. So I like to ask, what does that actually look like in practice, and how do you balance robust, secure systems with the primary goal of supporting ministry and not distracting from it?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, we serve the church. We're not looking to sell you something that you don't need. We're looking to provide you with solutions to meet your current needs, and, as I said, needs that you may have into the future. So, an ideal case for us would be to get somebody that invests in their IT to, take care of the current needs, as I mentioned, but also propel them and give them the future. And that comes through building trust and relationships, obviously, and getting buy-in from people within both organizations. But what we really are looking for is to take the technology burden off of the customer and let us absorb that. Let us take that on and free the person up, or the people that are involved in the technology at the church, to really focus on the things that are better serving their church, and allow them to use their skills that God has gifted them with, that may not be technology in nature. So we want to make sure that we are coming in and really working alongside the church to take the talent and everything that is involved in IT, take their eyes off of IT as much as we can, so it frees them up to focus. And like I said, use their skills in the church and other places where it may be more needed.
Awesome. So, you offer services from cybersecurity to telephony. So, what does future-proofing church technology actually involve in 2025? Is it more about the hardware, the software, or the people?
Yeah, it's a combination of all, I would say. I mean, honestly, hardware advancements occur multiple times per year in most cases. You've always got the newer model equipment that comes out. I mean, look at the iPhone 17. There's a release cadence once per year. You can always anticipate it, and Apple's always willing to tell you about all the great things that the latest model does that the previous one didn't. And it's no different in technology as it relates to networking equipment or firewalls or PCs or anything else. So there is that component of it, but there's also the component, as I mentioned previously, of trying to get buy-in at the organizational level to really put IT needs, at the top, and not just view information technology as an expense or a cost center, but more of how can IT and leveraging IT really aid in serving the church, back, and let it do so for many years, not just for the current need. You mentioned cybersecurity, so I definitely want to touch on that. One thing that we take pride in is that we do have an in-house risk team and information security team that serve the internal staff of ACS Technologies, which, by the way, is a team of around 400 people spread out all across the United States. So you can imagine the challenges that come with keeping that going. But we do have that team, we have that talent, we have that ability, and it's like, well, why can't we do this for the church too? So a few years ago, shortly after the acquisition, that's exactly what we did. We started offering vulnerability scanning services, email phishing services, information security assessments, penetration testing. There's all sorts of things that we were already doing for ourselves that we knew there was an opportunity for in the church. And I think what you'll find is that the service fees for anything security in nature can tend to be on the high side, right? Because it's something that it takes a certain level of expertise and a certain level of knowledge in order to accomplish. Not to make this a sales campaign for higher ground, but I think you'll find that our rates are very surprising. They're very economical, and the reason we do that, and it's not something unique just to higher ground, but as a company, we price our services and provide our services with the mindset that every dollar that comes our way was a decision from somebody to give that dollar to an offering plate of a church or to donate. So we try to be really good financial stewards of the church's money, and we want to make sure we're doing as best a job we can to provide them services at an affordable and economic.
Great. So, cybersecurity, of course, is a huge concern for every organization. So, what are unique cybersecurity vulnerabilities that faith-based organizations like churches often face that might be different from a standard business organization?
Yeah, good question, Ezekiel. So cybersecurity in general, no matter what type of organization you are, if you have an online presence, if you have people that are, using email or connected to the internet, if you have any devices that are publicly accessible and require inbound access, or you're just a user of technology in general with an internet connection, you are a target. It doesn't matter if you are a business, if you're a church, if you're a nonprofit. Just the simple fact that you are a user of technology, especially email, which continues to be the highest rate of success for the bad guy to gain access and to socially engineer folks into doing things that ultimately lead to a data breach. That those are tactics and those are ways, and yeah, unfortunately, we're all susceptible to that, right? So it's not a unique problem just to the church. However, to answer your question, the church has always been known for grace and mercy, right? And to care, the compassionate side. So, cyber criminals unfortunately realize that as well and target churches because, they know that if they send a message and they get the right person to respond, there is a likelihood there that there will be some level of interaction and response back and forth. And they use that unfortunately to their advantage. I mean, how many times have you heard, Ezekiel, of I got a request for $500 in Amazon gift cards that my pastor texted me about, and it turns out that wasn't actually a text from your pastor. And I got an email for sending thousands of dollars. situation for somebody that's a part of the staff that's traveling in a missions type situation, and you got to wire it to this bank account, and turns out that's not actually what happened, and that's not a real message coming from the person that you think you're talking with. So there's a lot of things that happen to the church that are not unique problems just because it is a church organization. It could really happen.
Interesting. So, I'll ask this one for our audience of engineers and developers. So, what's a particularly interesting technical problem that you've had to solve for a church that wouldn't come up in a corporate environment?
Yeah, good question. Well, there's a few. The ones that are specific to online giving are something that, is first and foremost an issue that we work with the church on, making sure that their giving platform is always available, that there's ways for the guests or the congregation to reach out and to give online for the church. So, that's something that's very unique to the church is the process of accepting donations and processing online gifts. And our software does that. That's not something that we specifically do on the managed IT side. However, there is that symbiotic relationship that exists between the software and the network and the church's ability to conduct online giving. So that is something that's unique. But it's also the outreach, the digital outreach. You've got somebody that is at a church that's responsible for communications and ensuring that the email messages that they're sending or the group messages that they're sending through their applications are reaching their intended audience and the members. So it all comes back to a stable network, ensuring that things are working the way they need to be working. Your wireless is not a concern. I'll tell you a good bit of what we see on Sunday morning is, oh my gosh, like, church service is starting in 30 minutes and our pastor's laptop just went out. He's not able to get on and pull up his message on his laptop that he's going to present from, or our wireless just crashed. How can we come alongside the church in that moment, in that exact time, which we do offer Sunday morning support for in those occasions, to remedy those issues before they become massive problems, and it has a downline impact, and the church is impacted and affected in those situations. So I would say Sunday morning operation is clearly a time for the church where the focus is on technology and ensuring technology works to its full degree that it needs to. And that is a unique problem. You don't get those sorts of pressure cooker type situations just on any old Sunday from a for-profit business, right? Because most for-profit businesses are closed on Sunday, at least here in the United States, Monday through Friday. So yeah, I think that that's something that is sets us apart in the audience and the folks we serve for sure.
Okay, so with the rise of hybrid and online services, how has the role of technology in the church permanently changed since, let's say, way back about 2020?
Yeah. Well, obviously, cloud services that have come out since the early 2000s continue to evolve. I mean, look no further than your email. Outlook used to be an on-prem type service that you would run. You had to manage your mail servers and stuff. Here came Microsoft 365 and Outlook Exchange Online. That really is a great example of a way that people in the church use technology and have already moved, things off their on-prem possibly to a cloud environment. Google, same way. So I think that there's numerous ways. Another thing that we run up against, we also provide phone services, as you mentioned previously. Phone services used to be something that really everybody ran a local PBX. If you had an advanced call flow need, you needed advanced IVRs. Putting a phone system in your on-premise environment in the church was a solid answer to that need. Since that point in time, we still offer many online and cloud services that are just as good as an on-prem physical PBX that people can connect to remotely. So it really frees up the ability for people to do what they're doing remotely. You don't have to be in the church office any longer. You can take calls, anywhere that you have a cellular connection, or if you're at your house and you have a phone software, a soft phone loaded onto your computer. You're just as effective. You can check your voicemail. You can still have extension to extension dialing all through this application, which is not residing in your physical premise any longer. So we have solutions that, offer that flexibility as well. And there's also a place for that on-prem PBX type scenario as well. It's not completely replaced, but we definitely encourage people to, modernize their phone systems. In this particular example, without having to use the traditional way of hosting their own system on their premise. So there's certainly options there in the phone area that churches have evolved into as well.
So, looking ahead, what emerging technologies are you most excited about or cautious about for the organizations you serve?
Yeah. Well, got to say it, AI, obviously, artificial intelligence. There's tons of application and use, no matter what sector or industry you're in. It's really a process of trying to control and, use it in the most and effective way for the need. We at Higher Ground and ACS, we are certainly looking at leveraging AI in new and different ways in a controlled way so that people can benefit from the power that AI brings, but we harness that power and we use it in the best and most meaningful way. We actually have a team of dedicated folks here at ACS that their sole job is to wake up every day and think of ways to innovate. And of course, AI is a huge component of that. So there's things happening all the time. For example, inside our company, we have a project called Color Creation. If you go to colorcreation.io, you can sign up for a free account, and that tool allows the church to actually create coloring pages for youth ministry for kids, so that they can print those pages and then use them as coloring worksheets. And they're of course church themed and appropriate. But yeah, I mean, that's just one way that we're using AI, and of course, we're using it in our line of work as well. Of course, with Higher Ground Managed IT, there's numerous systems that we use and deploy that have an AI component to them, and using that extra hand, so to speak, to come in and provide assistance, whether it is directly to the customer or whether it's to help our team internally be better servants of the customer in a time of need. But AI is, it's where it's at right now in terms of what is the next thing that's coming, and it's here. I mean, it's clearly here, and it's gonna continue to grow. It's really again the application of AI and making sure that you're leveraging its power as best you can to meet the needs of the church in our case.
Great, great. That's really interesting. So, with your several years of working with ACS and Higher Ground IT, what has been the most common Sunday tech failure, and how do you prevent it?
Yeah. It's not one particular failure, but it is that overall Sunday morning theme of there's an issue, we need help. Systems unexpectedly go down all the time. And for a church, there's really no worse time that it could happen other than a Sunday morning. And like I said, we do have dedicated staff on Sunday morning support. We actually staff our support center from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time every Sunday. Just making sure that we are available to serve the needs of somebody that experiences these technical issues as they arise on that Sunday morning is a huge thing. And obviously there's a lot of satisfaction that brings to our customers that, hey, when you have a time of need on a Sunday morning, we're there to jump in, help out, resolve the issue, and let you get back to serving your community and your church. So yeah, I mean, it's not really one particular thing. I will say, some of the most frequent types of issues that we solve on Sunday morning, which I've already mentioned, are the pastor's computer is not working. There's something that's happened, maybe an update failed and it's in a hung state. But really, wireless connectivity type issues, those are two of the biggest ones for sure.
Great. So, what has been the most rewarding part of helping over 200 churches focus on their community service by taking the IT stress off their plates?
Yeah, really, it's watching the church do church with somebody such as ourselves in the picture. And if you're interested in learning more about managed services, maybe you've made the decision to find a provider, a partner such as ourselves. Maybe you're still trying to get those questions answered. Ask questions, find out who is in your area that you could lean on that's in your network that you can lean on and run these questions by. There's plenty of churches that are currently partnered with a managed service provider such as ourselves that you can get your questions answered. I mean, there's a church IT network conference that's actually in place and runs multiple events per year. There's a national event that's coming up this year in Cincinnati, Ohio, at Crossroads Church. So there is a dedicated community to serving the church with technology, and these are leaders from across the United States that are going to be attending this conference, the CITN conference. So I would just say, get curious, ask questions, figure out, uh, would that get the answers to the things that maybe you don't currently have an answer to, and then have a conversation with someone such as ourselves just to figure out, hey, here's my needs. This is where I'm at. How can you help? I guarantee you're going to pick up some tidbits of knowledge and gain some more information just by asking questions and having a dialogue than you would if you tried to do it on your own. Just because there's so many people that have been in that same spot as this potential person I'm talking to, that can lean on each other for help and get the answers to the questions they have. But the most rewarding thing for me personally is just seeing the church be freed up from their technology issues and be able to focus on what's truly important to them. And there's nothing better than going on site to a church and walking through a worship with them on Sunday and seeing things work the way they need it to, and that technology is aiding them and getting their message out, and all the people that show up, and you can just see how happy everyone is to be there on a Sunday morning. And whether it's in person worship or if it's online worship, a lot of churches are doing streaming these days. That's a great way to reach a larger audience. Maybe not in your city or your region. You can get a lot of viewership online too and reach more people, and that's what it's all about.
Okay, so for the technical professionals listening, what's one key lesson you've learned about communicating complex IT concepts to non-technical leaders that they can apply in their own roles?
Yeah. Well, there is a time and a place for the technical talk, and we have people on our team certainly that can handle that. But as people, just trying to understand need and solutions and how we can get you from point A to point B. You first just talk about what you're looking to accomplish. Everything does not have to be overly technical. When you're talking through a problem that a church is experiencing and you're trying to figure out a solution, you don't start with the most technical things that you can do, right? You start with basic conversation. Here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to increase the effectiveness of my outreach, and I want to do it using our website, or making sure that we get as many people in the door as we can through our emails that are going out. And we start there. And as you work the process and you get further into the conversation, it could reveal some technical gaps that are in place that are, impediments or holding people back. And those things come about and those conversations happen, but you always start with the basic needs and just have a conversation and figure out, here's where I am, here's where I want to be. How can you help me get there? So it doesn't have to always be overly technical. To the technology leaders, I would just say have that conversation and reach out, whether it's with us or somebody else. Of course, Higher Ground would love to be the one to partner with you and provide service. But there are also other people in this community that I mentioned that are willing to have a conversation. And it just takes that simple question of, well, how do you do this? And then you learn from there.
Right. So, what does innovation truly mean to you, and how does it relate to your line of work in the context of technology and service?
Yeah, well, innovation is obviously not just taking what is in place today and the status quo and saying, yep, this is good enough, this fully meets the needs, but always being cognizant and aware of the fact that technology evolves and needs evolve. Technology opens a lot of doors. The advancement, as we mentioned previously in AI, it continues to change daily, weekly. It's such a rapid pace, but making sure that the church is aware of, here's the possibilities of doing things differently than what you're currently doing. And the impact is significant in some cases. I mentioned previously about phone systems and, freeing up staff to really do church related activities without having to be on site at the church. That is a huge thing that we see. The customers that move from a limited functionality or on-premise voice solution that is not remote friendly to something that is remote friendly and allows them to take calls on the go or to work from their their house, and stay engaged with their staff and with the people that are calling into the church and need to talk with them. That is a huge thing. So that's just one example of a way that technology evolves and making sure that we're doing a good job promoting how that can assist the church and be a part of their technology portfolio, if you will. So it's just an acknowledgement that, your needs will change. Technology changes, obviously. We want to make sure we're doing a good job staying on top of that and trying to figure out ways that we can help the church as those things do evolve and change.
Wonderful, wonderful. So finally, Carl, for our listeners who want to learn more or might be involved with an organization that could use your help and your service, what's the best place for them to find you or learn more about your consultations?
Yeah. Happy to have a conversation with anybody. Go to highergroundit.com. That is our main website. If you go to highergroundit.com/discovery, that's going to be the best way to get a message out to us, and we can have a conversation, schedule a time for a discovery call. It's no pressure. It's just to have a conversation, as I mentioned, talk about need, talk about ways we can serve you and overcome those needs and solve any technical challenges that you may have. Welcome to email me as well. My email address is Carl, that's Carl, at acst.com. And I can direct your question or have dialogue and conversation with you there as well.
Wonderful. So, Carl, it's been a really great conversation with you, and I'm excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Ezekiel. It's been a pleasure being here. I appreciate it.